Mason's passion had always been urban exploration. The thrill of wandering through abandoned structures, trying to piece together the stories they held, was exhilarating. His discoveries ranged from old factories to abandoned theaters, each holding its unique narrative. But when he stumbled upon the forgotten McDonald's, he had no idea he was about to uncover a narrative like no other. On the outskirts of Kurtzville, the McDonald's stood untouched by time. Its windows were broken, the iconic M was faded and peeling, but what caught Mason's eye was the unmistakable outline of a play place, still seemingly intact. Intrigued, he ventured in. The restaurant section was as one would expect. Decayed furniture, a counter with an old cash register, and the remnants of meals left behind. However, the play place was eerily pristine. The slides gleamed, the ball pit was full, and the air was thick with the metallic scent of old coins. Scattered around were tokens and toys, each harking back to different decades. There were toys promoting movies from the 90s, Happy Meal boxes with designs from the 80s, and even older relics like metal spin tops and miniature dolls. It was as if time had melded together within this playground. But as Mason delved deeper, an unsettling sensation took hold. The distant sound of laughter echoed through the maze of plastic tubes. At first, he dismissed it as the wind or his imagination. But as he climbed higher, the laughter grew more pronounced, children's laughter. And then, there were the whispers. Turning a corner within the play place, Mason was met with a sight that froze his blood. Ghostly apparitions of children, each from different eras, played around him. A little boy in suspenders chased a girl with pigtails, a child in bell-bottoms hid in a corner, and a young girl with a Tamagotchi clung to the slide. These children were not just playing, they were replaying. Their actions were repetitive, like a broken record. The boy in suspenders would always trip at the same spot, the girl with the Tamagotchi would always drop her toy, and then they'd begin their loop anew. Curiosity battling with his growing dread, Mason approached the child in bell-bottoms. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked tentatively. The child looked up, his eyes hollow yet pleading. "I can't find the exit," he murmured, his voice quivering. "I've been playing for so long." Before Mason could respond, a cold wind blew through, and the children disappeared, leaving him alone in the chilling silence. Panicking, Mason tried to find his way out, but the play place had transformed into an endless labyrinth. Each turn led him back to the central chamber, where the tokens and toys lay. It dawned on him that these items weren't mere memorabilia, they were anchors, binding the souls of children who had been lured and trapped within this twisted playground. A new sound pierced the silence, a soft, melodic tune, reminiscent of ice cream trucks. Drawn to it, Mason found a rusted music box in the shape of the McDonald's M. As the tune played, the ghostly children reappeared, swaying to the music. The girl with pigtails approached Mason, her form more solidified now. She held out a toy, a small figurine of Ronald McDonald. "Join us," she whispered, her voice echoing the others. "Stay and play forever." Desperate to escape, Mason remembered a trick he had learned from a fellow urban explorer. To break a supernatural loop, one had to disrupt the cycle. Grabbing the music box, he hurled it against the wall, shattering it into pieces. The haunting melody stopped, replaced by an ear-piercing scream. The apparitions writhed and contorted before evaporating into the air. Panting heavily, Mason found himself standing outside the McDonald's, the afternoon sun shining down on him. The play place, once gleaming, now lay in ruins. Overwhelmed and traumatized, Mason left Kurtzville and gave up urban exploration. But he often found himself wondering about those trapped souls. Had they found peace? Or were they merely freed from one prison to be trapped in another? Months later, a letter arrived at Mason's apartment. It was from a local historian in Kurtzville, thanking him for his service to the town. The letter detailed how, over the decades, children had disappeared near the old McDonald's, never to be found. The townsfolk had whispered tales of ghostly apparitions and haunting laughter, but none dared approach. Mason's disruption of the place had released those souls, allowing them to finally rest. The historian's last line sent shivers down Mason's spine. Sometimes, places are forgotten for a reason. That night, as Mason prepared for bed, he heard a faint sound, the distant melodic tune of a music box. And in the corner of his room stood the ghostly figure of the girl with pigtails, holding out the small figurine of Ronald McDonald, inviting him to play once more. Sarah always found solace in routine. Every Friday evening, after a grueling week at work, she'd pull into her local McDonald's drive-thru and order the same meal. A 12-piece McNugget with a side of fries and a Diet Coke. But this Friday was different. As she mindlessly counted her McNuggets, she found a 13th one. It was slightly darker than the rest, with a peculiar texture. Thinking it was simply overcooked, she popped it into her mouth without a second thought. As she chewed, a metallic taste lingered on her tongue, and a sudden wave of dizziness overtook her. The world around her morphed, colors shifted, and sounds distorted. Driving back home, Sarah couldn't shake off the unease. Streetlights flickered as she passed, shadows danced on the walls, and the world seemed shrouded in a muted hue. The once familiar drive now felt alien and distorted. When she arrived home, she noticed the first figure. A dark silhouette, standing on the sidewalk across from her apartment, its features obscured by the dim streetlight. Panicking, Sarah rushed inside, but as she looked through her window, the figure was gone. Convinced she was just exhausted and imagining things, she tried to calm herself with a hot bath. But the serenity was short-lived. The water around her began to ripple as if something unseen was moving beneath. Hushed whispers echoed off the tiles, incomprehensible but undeniably present. Climbing out of the bath, Sarah caught her reflection in the mirror. But it wasn't her usual self staring back. Her eyes were sunken, skin paler, and behind her, the shadowy figures lurked, moving silently. She screamed and backed away, but when she looked again, everything was normal. Sarah decided to call it a night, attributing her experiences to stress and the strange McNugget. But sleep didn't bring relief. In her dreams, she found herself in an alternate version of her town, cast under a never-ending twilight. The shadowy figures roamed freely, and she could finally see them for what they were. Souls trapped in limbo, forever wandering and seeking a way out. She was approached by a woman, her features eerily familiar yet distorted. "You've tasted the forbidden morsel," the woman whispered. "You now bear the curse of the 13th McNugget. You see our realm, the in-between, where lost souls linger." Sarah jolted awake, drenched in sweat. The sunlight seemed almost blinding, but the shadow figures persisted, now part of her waking world. They seemed to recognize her, reaching out with longing and despair, their silent screams resonating in her head. Desperate, Sarah returned to the McDonald's, hoping to find answers. She approached the counter, her voice trembling. The McNuggets, there was an extra one. The cashier, a young man with piercing blue eyes, leaned in. "Ah, the 13th McNugget. Few have tasted it and seen the other side." He scribbled an address on a piece of paper and handed it to her. "Go here. There's someone who can help." Following the address, Sarah found herself outside a dilapidated bookstore. Inside, amidst the dusty shelves and ancient tomes, sat an old woman, her eyes milky white. "Ah, another seeker of the cure," she murmured. She explained that the 13th McNugget was not of this world. It was a bridge between the living and the liminal, and those who consumed it bore the curse of sight, able to see the souls trapped in the in-between. "There is a way to reverse it," the old woman continued, "but it comes at a price." Sarah was ready to pay any price to rid herself of the haunting visions. The old woman handed her a small vial filled with a luminescent liquid. "Drink this under the moonlight, and you'll be freed. But remember, you'll be forever bound to the night. The daylight shall be a realm forbidden to you." Without hesitation, Sarah drank the potion. As it coursed through her veins, her vision blurred, and she felt herself falling into an abyss. When she finally awoke, she was free of the shadows, but as the woman had warned, daylight burned her skin, and she found solace only in the night's embrace. She had traded one curse for another. While the shadows no longer haunted her vision, they lingered in her life. Sarah became a creature of the night, wandering the streets, forever reminded of the price of the 13th McNugget. It began as a dare, a thrill to break the monotony of a sleepy town. According to local law, there was a McDonald's on the outskirts of town that was unlike any other. Built over an old asylum that had burned down in the 1970s, its history was drenched in tragedy. The daring part, ordering from its drive-thru at the dead of night, specifically at 3 a.m. Erin, Jess, Mason, and Lila, 4 friends seeking a bit of late-night adventure, found themselves at the entrance of the drive-thru, the glow from the golden arches eerily illuminating the misty night. "Are you sure about this?" Lila whispered, her voice quivering with a mix of excitement and fear. "It's just a fast food place," Mason chuckled, pushing the accelerator. They reached the speaker, and instead of the regular menu, they saw a list of bizarre items. Screaming fries, patty of despair, wailing soda. Jess let out a nervous laugh. "Is this some kind of joke?" Before anyone could answer, a raspy voice crackled from the speaker. "Welcome to the Midnight McDonald's. Place your order, if you dare." Taking the lead, Erin said, "We'll have 4 of your screaming fries." A heavy silence lingered before the voice replied, "Drive to the next window." As they approached, they were handed a regular box of fries. But when Jess opened it, a piercing scream echoed from the box, making everyone jump. The fries inside were burnt, shaped like tiny humans contorted in agony. Lila, with trembling hands, pointed at a tag at the bottom of the box. It read, "The Asylum Fire of 1972. Erin, trying to keep his cool, remarked, "It's just a gimmick, you know, to scare us." Mason, eyes wide, said, "Let's order another item." Reaching the speaker again, Lila said, "Give us the patty of despair." "Drive to the next window," came the reply. This time, they received a burger box. Inside, the patty was pitch black. As Mason touched it, images flashed before his eyes. Patients in the asylum, their faces twisted in terror and sadness. He saw the walls of the asylum closing in, felt the suffocation, the dread. Gasping, he dropped the burger. On its wrapper was another clue, the overcrowded wards of desolation. Jess, her voice shaky, said, "We need to leave, now." But Erin, ever the curious one, decided to order one last item, the wailing soda. "Drive to the next window," the voice whispered. Handed a regular soda cup, Erin took a sip. Instead of quenching his thirst, a torrent of sorrow filled him. He heard cries of patience, their pain, their longing for freedom. The soda seemed bottomless, every gulp drowning him further in despair. On the side of the cup, an image appeared. A chained door with the words, "The forbidden basement of the asylum." Lila, tears in her eyes, pleaded, "We have to go. This place, it's cursed." Before they could react, the raspy voice sounded again, "Would you like to know the special meal of the night?" Without waiting for a response, a tray appeared on the pickup counter. On it was a small cake shaped like the McDonald's building, but old and burnt. Mason, unable to resist, took a bite. Flashes of the night the asylum burned filled his vision, the fire, the chaos, the screams of those trapped inside, and the dark figure, an arsonist, reveling in the destruction. As the vision faded, a final note was revealed beneath the cake. "The truth lies beneath." The 4 friends, horrified and compelled, found themselves drawn to the old foundation of the asylum, located just behind the McDonald's. There, hidden beneath overgrown weeds, was a chained entrance to a basement. Jess, her voice barely audible, said, "The forbidden basement." Gathering their courage, they decided to descend. Inside, amidst the remnants of old medical equipment, they found a wall covered in faded photographs. Patients, doctors, staff, all with dates of their admittance and a single date of departure the night of the fire. At the center was a larger photo of a man, a staff member, with a plaque reading, "Founder of the asylum, and the man who gave it new life." Below the photo, a familiar logo, the Golden Arches. The realization was chilling. The McDonald's was not built as a tribute or mere coincidence. It was a marker, a remembrance by the founder, who perhaps felt guilty or wanted to immortalize the tragedy in a twisted way. As dawn approached, the friends left the basement, the weight of their discovery heavy on their hearts. They vowed never to return to the haunted McDonald's, their late-night dare turning into a chilling encounter with the town's dark history. The drive-through at 3 a.m. was no mere urban legend. It was a portal to the past, serving memories and horrors of a time best forgotten. As the clock ticks towards dawn, this is Midnight Callers signing off, reminding you, when darkness falls, the stories rise. Sleep tight if you dare.